Welcome back to my channel, and we continue with our Easter Triduum explanation, and today I'll be talking about the Good Friday. So what is it that we celebrate on Good Friday? On Good Friday, we reflect on the mystery of Christ's death, and we also adore the cross of Jesus Christ. One may wonder, why Good Friday when Jesus is dying on the cross? Well, it is Good Friday because the death of Jesus is meant to save humanity from their sins. And again, the death of Jesus is not final. There is hope for the resurrection, and the only way for him to resurrect is through death. Good Friday usually begins with the Stations of the Cross, that is right from the first station where Jesus is condemned to die to the 14th station where Jesus is buried in the tomb. The way of the cross is followed by the Good Friday service, and by the way, it is only on Good Friday that the priests do not celebrate Mass in the Catholic Church. And you may wonder why. Maybe let me explain. Here is the reason. The omission of the prayer of consecration deepens our sense of loss, because Mass throughout the year reminds us of the Lord's triumph over death, the source of our joy and blessing. The desolate quality of the rites of this day reminds us of Christ's humiliation and suffering during his passion. And so we are not in a celebratory mood because Jesus, whom we are supposed to celebrate, is dead. And so the church is in mourning. That's why we do not have consecration. Even though we shall have communion during the Good Friday service, we do not have priests consecrating the communion in Mass, but the communion is taken from the altar of repose and then brought to the Christians. We can see that the parts of Good Friday service correspond with the division of Mass. Usually the Good Friday service is divided into 4 parts. The priest enters the church in silence, total silence, not as usual where we would have the entrance hymn during the procession, no. This time the priest enters the church in great silence, vested in red, and then prostrates before the altar, and everyone else kneels for some minutes, and then the priest stands up, and this is followed by the Passion, chanting or reading of the Passion of Christ from the designated text. I'll be able to share a video later of the Passion of Christ. And then the second part of the Good Friday service are the intercessory prayers for the church and the entire world. And in these prayers we pray for both Christians and non-Christians. Just as Jesus did not discriminate, but he died for everybody, regardless of whether you are good or bad. Jesus died for everyone, and so during the Good Friday service, we pray for everyone, Christians and non-Christians. This part is followed by the Veneration of the Cross, where every Christian goes before the cross and either bows or touches the cross, and it's open for every Christian in the church, including children and adults. So the Veneration of the Cross is supposed to honor that cross because it is that cross that saved humanity from their sin. And so the cross is a symbol of our salvation. That's why everyone goes before the cross and venerates the cross. Then finally we have the communion, and this is also known as Mass of the Pre-Sanctified. Remember, this communion is not consecrated in Mass on Good Friday. it is taken from the altar of repose. That means it is consecrated beforehand and then just given to the Christians. And so after communion, there is usually no final blessing and dismissal as it will be in any normal Mass. The priest leaves the church in silence and everyone follows suit. And you will notice that there is no one genuflecting because Jesus is not present in the tabernacle. Jesus is dead, even though there is hope for the resurrection. So that is the mystery that we celebrate on Good Friday, and it is a call for each one of us to live and transmit that immense love that Jesus demonstrated by dying on the cross.